With winter now in full swing, farmers are still in need of rain as drought conditions are slowly starting to improve across the state. Colin Vidros has the latest.
After a summer that resulted in ongoing drought, Louisiana farmers are eager for a better year in 2024. Farmers are dependent on ryegrass growth in pastures in the warmest months of the year, but it was not abundant this summer due to little rain.
We still have yet to get enough rainfall. We're currently probably 35 to 40 inches still behind where we need to be for the year. The difference is the drought's still the same, but the grazing for our livestock has changed. The grasses that we planted, it's not growing like it should be.
This means many Louisiana farmers are facing a lack of hay and grass in the winter, leaving them to provide feed supplements to their cattle just to survive.
We didn't make as much hay as we needed for forage for the livestock either. So that changes everything going into the feeding and maintaining the livestock. We're having to do other things. We're having to supplement feeds with minerals and things of that nature.
Now, farmers are concerned about the water table dropping, which will require farmers to conserve their resources even more. Avery Davidson with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation says having more rainfall replenishes some of the groundwater that farmers need.
When it comes time to plant in March, April, and May, if the soil moisture is not at the right amount, they can't plant. So that could delay planting if the soil moisture is not right.
The LSU Ag Center reports Louisiana lost $1.69 billion in damage due to the drought and excessive heat last summer. Half of the total damage, totaling over $800 million, occurred on farms where crops performed poorly or died. Livestock and hay farmers lost around $389 million due to animal fatalities, forced liquidation, lower selling weights, abortions, and decreased milk output. But regardless of the losses, some farmers are finding a positive outlook as the seasons progress.
This drought has just encompassed all aspects of agriculture in Louisiana. I mean, it was just released almost $1.7 billion in agricultural losses in Louisiana alone. So, I mean, and that's ranging from sugarcane to soybeans to cattle. We always look forward. Can't focus on what has already happened. So we can only just focus on what can we do.
In Grant Parish, Colin Vidros, News Channel 5, your local station.